Oh, hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Spontaneous Brilliance Podcast. This is our finale episode for season 1. Wow! We have 52 episodes in season 1 of Spontaneous Brilliance Podcast. That is so awesome and amazing. And I am very, very, very grateful to all of you for listening and sending in your requests for what to do podcasts on that I've tried to respond to very enthusiastically. And I wanted to do this finale episode just to sort of wrap up this season because we're heading toward season 2 now, but we're going to bring this closer to season 1 and look at what we've done and what we've learned and where we are, or as my producer Shelley Oneida would say, where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. So in the where we've been, I sat down to reflect on that and, sort of where we've been. And as I was reflecting on this journey of the podcast, I started reflecting on this entire journey that it has been to get here, not just to the end of season 1 of the podcast, but to Spontaneous Brilliance as a whole. We've talked a lot on this podcast about fear and moving past fear and the insidious ways that fear makes us block ourselves. We even have an entire episode, number 9, on blocking ourselves. And I've told you many, many times and in many ways about my fears. And many of you have let me know that it helps you to let you know that I myself am a master blocker at times. I've been very candid about the fact that if I waited until I had no fear or until I was entirely sure of what I was doing, I would never have started this podcast, let alone many or all of the creative endeavors I've undertaken in my life. And in many of those instances, it wasn't just me having fear, it was others sharing their fears with me in the form of help and advice about what I should do or what I should be prepared for or what I should be warned against. And with the podcast, it is funny how many people helped me or tried to protect me by pointing out to me how rare it is for someone to actually succeed with a podcast. Most people stop after X number of episodes. Most people blah, blah, blah. What if nobody listens? Blah, blah, blah. All of those lovely things. And I started the Spontaneous Brilliance podcast over a year ago, obviously, because we have 52 episodes. Did I mention that? Okay, I'm mentioning it again. And obviously kept on going, and obviously people listened, and obviously people enjoyed it. And as I was reflecting on all of that, I started thinking that before that, I started Spontaneous Brilliance with the book. I wrote Spontaneous Brilliance, the book, in 2022, or more accurately, it was published in 2022. Yes, and, okay, see what I did there? Like nearly everyone else who sets out to write a book, it took me a while. And just like subsequently happened with the podcast, I had all sorts of people willing to be my negativity committee and share their limiting beliefs with me, out of love, I think, all the time. How many people start to write a book and never finish it, or think about it and never start it? Or even if you finish it, do you know how few books actually get read? Blah, blah, blah. And you won't sell a lot and da, 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 da. And I was myself doing the, what if nobody likes it thing with myself, right? I didn't even need anybody to feed that one to me. I had that one going. What if I offend somebody? What if it bugs somebody? But people don't like the way I'm saying it, blah, 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 right? The irony is that not only did I know those statistics and did I know about those fears in myself, but that was the very reason I was writing Spontaneous Brilliance. I wanted to help other folks realize how they could overcome those limiting beliefs and how they could step past the impulse to block themselves or to lose faith in their passion or to not offer their unique brilliance with the world. It took me years to get willing to write it down and make it a cohesive program, because I was given into a lot of those fears and I was letting myself get distracted and I was letting myself get tired and get scared and yada, 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 yada. I don't just spout this stuff at you guys, right? I don't just tell you guys what I think you should do. I'm actually dealing with it every day. We all are dealing with it every day. That taking 100% responsibility for our lives takes practice. I had to remind myself time and time again to walk the talk that I teach. All the things I was writing about, all the things I was coaching about, they didn't become anything unless I was willing to share them. And not just share them with one person at a time or with one classroom at a time or in a lecture hall or whatever. I needed to get it out to the world. That is what I felt like I needed in the center of me. And I know that you guys have those feelings too. I know that many of you know the mission of Spontaneous Brilliance, but I want to just say it out loud right now for myself and for all of you to really take it in for a second. Our mission at Spontaneous Brilliance, right? The mission that I created for myself when I created all of this is to create a world of loving, conscious creators where everyone's unique creative genius is recognized, acknowledged, shared, and respected in our hearts, homes, classrooms, companies, and communities, regardless of our age, education, or perceived abilities. I mean, let's think about that for a sec. It took me a long time to say that that was what I wanted to do. I would say it quietly to myself. I actually worked with my coach back in the day to get to the point where I could say out loud that I wanted to raise the consciousness of humanity. Yeah. That's a wild thing to say, to really believe in. And I shared that maybe with a few people, but even the people close to me, they would think I was naive and just somehow want to pat me on the head and smile at me sympathetically. Or they might, kick in with that protective personality thing and try to mitigate the vision by telling me that it was a noble pursuit, but I couldn't really change this divisive, competitive, comparison-based perspective that we humans have acquired. I literally had people tell me, we're too far gone. What? No. We've learned from the well-meaning monkeys of the world not to expect genius in ourselves, not to expect brilliance in ourselves. And if we do find it or we feel it, we're taught to immediately compare our genius, our passion, our heartfelt purpose to someone else's. And of course, we find ourselves somewhat lacking. And if we don't, well, then some well-meaning monkey will, right? So as my second favorite metaphor expresses so brilliantly, thank you, Mr. Einstein. Come on, say it with me. Everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. And that is not what we want for anyone. That always made me crazy. One of my superpowers has always been to be able to help to nurture someone's genius, to get a student to try something that they thought they couldn't do, or get an actor to really go above and beyond what they were comfortable with in a role, take their performance to the next level, or to inspire a person with a perceived disability to look at themselves differently by leaning into their passion regardless of the seeming obstacles. I wanted more than anything for the world to realize that each and every person has that unique creative genius, a passion and a purpose that they came here intentionally, on purpose. Their soul birthed them into this life in order to experience and share. And that when I said everyone was a unique creative genius, I meant everyone. I wanted desperately to change the way that we see, accept, and treat one another by helping everyone to recognize and respect the genius in themselves and all those around them. But it still took me a long, long time, you guys, to fully realize how to put those pieces together. As an intuitive and a spiritual seeker all my life, and as a creative artist and a theater director and a teacher of acting and improv, it took me a long time to put all those pieces together into what became my metaphorical, metaphysical guide to life. It was a lovely awakening for me, and that is the book that became Spontaneous Brilliance. And I knew, as did Shelley and Vicky, God bless them for being there through the editing process of the book and everything, and lots of other folks that were helping along the way too, and my clients and my students, we all knew that it was foundational, that it was pretty cool. This is what we call our verbal business card at Spontaneous Brilliance. This is what we are doing. We are helping people, regardless of their age, education, occupation, neurodiversity, or perceived ability, to step past fear, frustration, and limiting beliefs to recognize and value their unique creative genius, discover their purpose and passion, take inspired action, and thrive as empowered conscious creators on the great stage of life. And we are just working all the time to do that for people through all of our different kinds of programs. And we created the podcast to do that. That's why we have this podcast, is to do that, to help people to step past the fear and the frustration and the limiting beliefs and recognize how to show up as empowered conscious creators on the great stage of life. That's where we are. So we were going to talk about where we were, sort of where we came from, where we are, and where we're going. And where we are is we are at the end of season 1 of this podcast. This podcast is and has been the next critical step for me and for the whole team in sharing that vision and that mission. And the podcast is more than just a podcast. It's a journey that we're all wanting to take together. And by we, I mean everybody out there listening. We're building a community where we can all learn to recognize that genius inherent in each person, ourselves and all those around us, and the magic that occurs when we offer, accept, and do not block that genius as we travel together on this great stage of life in this 24/7 improvisation. That is my passion. That is my invitation to each and every person, to each and every one of you listening, to know that you are brilliant. You're freaking brilliant. You are uniquely endowed with a genius and a purpose that is just yours. Just yours. You were born on purpose, as in intentionally and as in with a specific purpose. You came here to be, do, and share that genius. You are creating this life. You are the masterful being creating the life that you are living. Your thoughts, your imagination, your focus, your beliefs, your responses, your words, your actions, your offers all work in concert to determine the reality, the story, the world that you experience. We are creating constantly, consciously or unconsciously. That's where we are now and always, right? That's where we are in the podcast. We have 52 podcast episodes where we've explored the metaphorical, metaphysical guide to life. And in doing so, we've learned and explored many, many things. And I just want to run through some of them for you, just to give us all a sort of a bullet point reminder. We've learned that creativity is a practice. It is not a trait. I've shared with you that as a creativity specialist, when I was writing the book Spontaneous Brilliance, I was so disappointed in the definitions of creativity out there that I had to write my own. And so this is what it is. Creativity is the conscious and deliberate evolutionary process of developing a thought or thoughts in the imagination and then taking action on those thoughts in order to manifest change, alter perception, enhance understanding, or bring into being something as yet unrealized in our awareness or physical reality. That's creativity. That's creating. That's what you're doing in every moment, potentially, if you buy into it. We know that, as I shared in episode 36, our creativity is a process of discovery. Creativity is not solely having the idea. It's doing something with that idea. If we can follow the breadcrumbs of our curiosity, it leads us to our creativity. And when that process of discovery brings us joy, then we know we're on the right path, right? We know that we're following our bliss. We know that we are living the life filled with power of deliberate creativity, deliberate creation, our deliberate intention of conscious creation. We also know that in my metaphorical metaphysical guide, Shakespeare's line in As You Like It, right? My favorite metaphor is all the world's a stage. And it's the basis for how we practice conscious creation here in Spontaneous Brilliance Land, right? Every technique or truism that helps a performer to have a successful performance on the stage does exactly the same thing when it's applied to the great stage of life. The great stage of life, the reason that we call it the great stage of life is because the stage and all the things that go into the stage in the art of theater, right? They directly are a metaphorical representation, like a microcosm for life. We know that life is a 24/7 improv by definition. We know that in improvisation, there are only 3 things you are ever doing, right? You are either making an offer, you are accepting an offer, or you are blocking an offer. And so we know that in life, as in improv, right? In life, everything you think, do, or say is only one of those 3 things. Everything you think, everything you say, every action you take is either making an offer, accepting an offer from somewhere else or from yourself, or blocking an offer. And we know that we should accept everything as an offer. We know that when you are frustrated, bored, fearful, lost, in doubt, offer. We learned that if you're frustrated, bored, fearful, lost, or in doubt, you're probably blocking. And that one of the things that we know about our limiting beliefs is that they make us become attached to the outcome. And you can't plan an improv, so the more attached you are to the outcome, the more likely you are to block, the more likely you are to insist that the only offers made are the ones that you've pre-planned. And that is not life, my friends, and we know that, right? We've explored that here in Spontaneous Brilliance Land in the podcast. We know the power of the in improv as in life practice of yes and. And we know that when we embrace the cycle of accepting every offer and then offering back something that builds upon that offer, yes-anding every instance, right, that we can actually stay in a state of ease and grace as we move through our life by yes-anding everything. And we know that it's not just yes and, but in Spontaneous Brilliance Land, it's yes, thank you and, because everything is happening for you. Nothing is happening to you because we know the universe never blocks. So we know that everything in our life is something that is happening for us. And we know the power of gratitude. The thank you part of yes, thank you, and reminds us to treat everything as an offer, as a gift to learn from, to grow through, and to embrace. And we know that we are 100% response able for our offers. There's no fault or blame in responsible and spontaneous brilliance land. It just means that we are able to respond in every moment as we choose. We are response able to choose our response to every circumstance, to every offer that we receive. And we know that as on the stage, in improv and in acting, everything is about relationship. Also on the great stage of life, everything is about relationship. And that the most important relationship that we have is the relationship with ourselves. We've explored that in so many ways in the podcast. There are episodes on uniting our 2 selves, trusting the text within, giving the gift of yourself, accepting your role, finding your bliss, accepting your perfect. Lots and lots of episodes on that because it's important to recognize who we are. We know that we are the players, our soulful self playing a character, our egoic self on the great stage of life, and that we are not only the player and the character, but the playwright writing the story of our life as we go along. And we're the director. We are the one responsible for holding the vision and bringing all the elements together to create this production that we call our life. And so many more things that we know. Let's see, we learned all of the in acting as in life principles. In acting as in life, we learned that it's what you do that matters, because an offer that stays a thought isn't an offer. It's just a little game we're playing inside our own head. It's what you do that matters. Acting is active. You've heard me say that a billion times. Acting is active. Well, so is life. It's what you do that matters. And we know that, thank you, Mario Saletti, my Marioism, my favorite Marioism, you've got to find the love in every aspect of your life. If you can find the love, that is how you know how to move forward in that moment. That's how you know what's truly motivating other people. That's how you know how to truly stay present in your life, is to find the love. What do you love? That's how you find your passion. That's how you find your genius. Notice what you love. And we know that number 3 on that list of acting as in life things is you can't play a negative. Focusing on what you don't want gets you what you don't want. You have to focus on what you do want, on your objective, on where you're going. Because again, life is active. And we know that your talent, as Stella Adler said, your talent lies within your choice. Well, I've transformed that a little bit to say, on the great stage of life, your success lies within your choice. You are 100% responsible. Therefore, your choices in life are what create the life that you are living. And we know that in acting as in life, it's all about making the other guy look good. In other words, the stage is a collaborative art form. Life, just like the stage, is a collaborative art form. And if your focus is only on yourself, then you can get really caught up in the, oh, how do I look? How do I sound? What do people think of me? Like the spiral that I started to get into as I was writing the book. What do people think of it? And then when you put your focus on the other guy, like I had to turn around and put my focus on how did I want to help people? Then I could move forward rather than being stuck in a loop. And we learned to never explain and never complain, right? Another great Marioism. He'd say, never explain and never complain in your life or in your art. Both are boring. And that in conjunction with that, there is no why. There is no why. It's always a what. Why is a search for justification or validation or explanation. And we don't really need those. We need to know what we are doing, what we truly want, what we're going to do about it. And then we also know that we must embrace the obstacles. Just like every actor playing a character embraces the obstacles, really knows that the obstacles are where the magic is, that every character striving to overcome obstacles is what makes that performance, makes that story interesting. And the same is true with our lives. Our obstacles are our inspiration. And if we can accept everything, even the apparent obstacles, as an offer that we have the responsibility to accept and then offer back to, that's where the magic happens. And we learned to look at fear as an obstacle, right? And if it's an obstacle, it's actually can be transformed into an offer, right? We learned that fear, as my dear mentor, Olympia Dukakis, she would say, fear's boring. And I transformed that to say fear makes us boring, right? Because then we make boring offers. We make safe offers into our own life. And we know that we are called to step into our roles and to take center stage and to step into the light and to shine as the lead characters in the story of our own making as we consciously create the life we were born to live. Whew. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot that we learned during this year of podcast episodes. And honestly, that's just some of the stuff we covered in season 1. I mean, I didn't even mention some of my favorite episodes that weren't about any of those things that we already talked about that are sort of the Spontaneous Brilliance foundational elements. Some of my favorite episodes, like Time, episode 4, called Magic in the Present Moment. Our relationship to time. I love that episode. Episode 41, the Q&A with Katie Preston. God bless her. Katie's going to come back in season 2, I'm sure, because I'm going to bring her. Because everybody really loved that episode, and so did I. And I invite you always to be willing to say, hey, I've got some Q&A I want to do. Remember that we're always open to that. And episode 49, I also loved that one. I mean, I loved a lot of them, but I loved getting to go on my neurodivergent rant about what is neurodiversity, what is neurodivergence, and how are we responding to it in our world and in ourselves. We learned all of that. We explored all of that, and that's only season 1. And we're going to keep going because I've said it before and I'll say it again. Some part of you knows you're brilliant. You may not believe it or understand it or even fully recognize it, but deep inside you, you can feel it. And that's why we're here. That's what we're here to do, to bring that feeling, that little whisper of possibility into glorious expression. And that is why I wrote the book, created the company, the coaching, the mentorship practice. I created the podcast, all of it. This is me personally asking you to consider the possibility that you are so much more than you have allowed yourself to be. I need you to know that you are without a doubt a unique creative genius bursting with brilliant, valuable, powerful thoughts and ideas. Because the brilliant truth, you know it and I know it, is that whether you believe it or not, whether anyone believes it or not, the fact is that everyone, and we do mean everyone, is brilliant. Each and every person on this planet is a unique creative genius in their own right. So whatever your genius is, lean into it, please. And as you lean into it and follow your bliss, as Joseph Campbell would say, we're here to support you. And this is the end of the where we are part and the leading into the where we're headed part, where we're going. We are going, oh boy, to lots of things that we are creating to support you in the coming months and throughout the next year. My goodness, we have so many things brewing. And if you thought I was scared when I went ahead with the podcast, and when I went ahead with the book, I got to tell you, I feel like that was nothing compared to the mega leaps forward that we have planned for this next year. And I got to say, folks, I'm just going to pause for a second. And I got to say, I am so grateful that I have an absolutely brilliant dream team helping to bring all these things to fruition. Kayla and Leah and Maria and Shelley and Annie and Jereza and Amber and the lone gentleman in our collective, Mr. Corey, who is here with me in this moment because he's always with me when I'm recording podcasts. They are all helping me to build this kaleidoscope of surprises and supports and offerings to help us fulfill the mission so that each of us can share our unique creative genius. And by each of us, I mean all of you and all of us and all of everyone. They're here to support me, that brilliant team, and they're here to support you. And we're right here. You can always reach out to us. You can go to sandrakavanagh.com or spontaneousbrilliance.com. Both of those take you to the same place. And you can see what's there and get on the mailing list and get newsletters and emails letting you know what all we're creating. But just a little teaser here. I'm just going to share with you that there are more books on the horizon. Yep, I said books, plural. Books, plural. We're going to do our first live webinar this year, and you heard it here first, folks. We are creating a membership program and a community that is really, 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 really special. And you'll be hearing more about all of those things very soon. I'm just so excited about everything that is coming forward, not the least of which is season 2 of the Spontaneous Brilliance Podcast. Woohoo! And it's going to be great. And so come and join us. We are taking it to the next level. Jereza even designed a beautiful new podcast cover for season 2. So we'll have a new look, but we'll still be on all your favorite podcast outlets. So find us. And If you need us, reach out. We are here. We are here. I'm here. The whole team's here. And we want to help you share your unique creative genius. The link tree is in the show notes with all of our contact info. So I want to leave you with this. Guys, this is a quote which I've read to you before. As we end season 1, I would like us all to remember this wisdom from Martha Graham in her letter to Agnes de Mille. There is a vitality, a life force, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one you in all time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and be lost. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is, or how valuable it is, or how it compares with other expressions. It is your business to keep it yours clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. You do not even have to believe in yourself or your work. You have to keep open and directly aware of the urges that motivate you. Keep the channel open. All right, my friends, we'll certainly keep this channel open, and we invite you to join us and allow us to support you in your journey to unleash the power of your unique creative genius. And as always, my beloveds, have a beautiful, glorious, blessing-filled day, and I will talk to you again soon. The Spontaneous Brilliance Podcast is brought to you by Miracle Communications Group. Our producer is Michelle Oneida. Sound engineer is Corey Michaels at Corey Michaels Productions. Music is composed by Rex Miller. And I'm your host, Sandra Kavanaugh. You can learn more about me and all things Spontaneous Brilliance at sandrakavanaugh.com or spontaneousbrilliance.com. And please join the conversation here at the Spontaneous Brilliance Podcast by emailing us at podcast@spontaneousbrilliance.com.